We'll call this Franklin Public Library Board of Trustees Special Board Meeting to order here. It is Saturday, January 21st, 8:06 a.m. I'm assigning myself to do notes for this meeting. Present is Mike Karlovitz, Terry Barris. Mike, you should say yourself is here, sorry.
Here.
Thank you. Terry?
Here.
Doris?
Here.
Kristen?
Here.
Thank you. Terry?
Here.
Doris?
Here.
Kristen?
Here.
Judy?
Here.
And Jennifer is also here. No public comment, so we are going to dive right into a review. Well, let me first say, I think it has been super exciting being on, after being on the strategic planning committee with Mike, watching how it got built and then implemented, and the fact that, we went through the pandemic and still have made just really incredible progress on all of this. So it's just been a really exciting process. And then to start doing these where we have this very intentional time of putting together goals and things like that. So thank you all. We will carry on without them. And I told Annalee yesterday that certainly at any time, any meeting, the other members can feel free to, add their comments and suggestions. So every year we review our mission statement, and our mission statement is providing every member of our community with abundant opportunities to learn, explore, and connect. So that should flow through everything that we talk about and do. So we will move right on from the past year, 2022. Do we need to, well, I think I'll just go through section by section, but I don't think we need to read them all. I think we either have them in front of us time. So our first strategic goal is involving programming, that the library provide quality programming and events that deliver value to our community while best utilizing the resources of the library. So all for 2022, Jennifer and her staff were completed. Did you specifically want to comment on any of them, Jennifer? Any ones that
the survey got a late start, but we have implemented it. Actually did my first survey at my family records organ to do the QR code to link to the one online.
Oh, nice.
But I also had paper copies. So I told Carrie, probably about 3/4 of the people who attended did a survey. And what we're going to do is have Emma, our new library assistant, create a Excel spreadsheet that has ideas for future programs so that we can go in and look at that.
Okay, I took some time to go through all this last night, and there's like a recurring theme in a lot of the goals that I want us to be kind of cognizant of. The first thing here it says, increase attendance by 25% over 2021. We should specify what it is that we actually did. All right, so if the goal was to increase attendance by 25%, did we increase it by 30%, 50%, 100%, right? 5%. Did we increase it by 30%, 50%, 100%, right? So
you want a reporting out.
So what we actually hit,
Well,
would be good, because there's lots of places throughout here where it's like that to do this.
Yeah.
We didn't.
Because we didn't start our survey. Yeah. Because we didn't start our survey. We did complete the survey. We didn't start it until this year. So, and programming actually was down a little bit, partially probably because we didn't have as much online. The online really really gave us a
Gotcha.
lot of program
Yeah.
attendance.
Right, right.
But in-person attendance definitely was increased at least 25% because we didn't have that much in-person programming in 2021. It's like half a year of in-person.
Right.
Don't already, it might be a good idea to show the trend as well. So that
Right.
if some odd occurrence drops a figure, then it doesn't, we don't mislead ourselves by looking at the percentages from just
One
last
year.
year.
Yeah.
Who are you using to do surveys? What, like,
Anybody who attends a program.
no, I'm sorry.
They're
What-
not
what-
using
what
the
software?
corporation.
Oh,
Or
You're
a
not
tool?
using an online tool or, no?
Sam has a Google form, so
Because I know it would be a pain in the butt to do the paper copies, but most of those will do a, so it just might
You're
simplify.
right, you're right, yeah, they have all sorts of, you want a pie chart, you want a pie chart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just might simplify
point.
your tracking for that, and then it would tell you exactly.
So what you're saying is take the paper survey and input it. That's a good idea. I might have Emma do that instead of doing
Yeah, it might be
a Excel
easier,
spreadsheet.
Then you have, yeah.
whatever, keep away, and then when anybody asks you what the exact percent is or what it's trending, it just might be.
So I don't think that would be a difficult thing to do to, since it's in the action plan again for 2023, and we're not gonna jump ahead, but to add that on a percentage to see numbers and to, like Terry said, track the numbers, show the trend, to add that component to those surveys.
Well, from what I found, Google Forms might not be the easiest.
Right.
Like SurveyMonkey or one of the other ones might actually be nice to do, but some of the other ones might actually give you better.
And even if you have to pay a little bit, because I know SurveyMonkey does have a limit on the number of respondents that you can have, or the number of surveys, or, so I think it's like $300 for the year or something like that, where you can go ahead and have the full-blown thing. That way you have a pretty big gap between what you get for free
Yeah.
and then the gold package or whatever like that, which is intentional, right? They're not gonna spend a whole bunch of money to give everything away for free. They wanna have some people subscribe to the stuff that really, they have to spend a lot of time adding new features or keeping updated and
Yeah,
stuff.
we did have,
Adding new features or keeping updated and
yeah,
stuff.
we did have the paid version of SurveyMonkey last year. The librarians didn't like it.
Okay.
So we switched to the paid version of Sign Up Genius this year. Maybe we should go back to the paid version of SurveyMonkey.
But wait, I would check on the sign up and see if they have a survey option.
Okay,
I would check on the sign up and see if they have a survey option,
okay.
because a lot of times those programs do all of it.
Do all of it?
Because we used to use, I've used two different programs with my old, and actually both of them, I didn't even know, but both of them had not only membership and newsletter options, but they also had like survey options built into them. So I would just look at that first.
I'm gonna put Sam on that.
Although having the staff like something is probably a plus.
Right,
Yeah.
Although having the staff like something is probably a plus.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else under programming, Jennifer?
Well, Sam just wanted me to point out that he didn't do two virtual reality because our Oculus computer actually is obsolete now. So we got MetaQuest 2.
Gotcha. Okay,
So he did one VR class, and then he's going to be doing more in 2023 with the MetaQuest. But he's going to be doing more in 2023 with the MetaQuest. But Carrie kind of picked up a little bit and did 3 Cricut classes in the Create Space. So she kind of bolstered Sam's goal.
gotcha,
So, and
gotcha.
And the children's librarians were extremely excited that they met their goal.
Yeah. That
Okay,
participation.
I'm gonna be a real nasty timekeeper here and say it's already 1:15.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
So we have to be careful that we're not
Right.
doing,
And then we completed community experts.
Just to, Mike's prior point though, I think like, the summer reading goal, this is one where we do know what the participation increased by, right? And
20 it
so,
was 28%.
And just instead of just saying goal was met, saying, 30% increased participation, I think would be helpful, just for a report.
It was a 28% increase.
Good. All right, the community hub, the library is the center of the community, work to foster and grow our role as a community connector.
I'd like to make a suggestion,
Yes.
just on that one part.
Oh,
Just-
on programming or?
No, just on what's under, something that say the library is the center of the community. It's shortly not going to be the center of the community anymore. Right, with all the development that's going to be going on, the desire to make certain areas like the downtown area, right? To say the library is a center of the community, I think is perfectly fine. No, I'm just saying the heading underneath there should read, the library is a center of the community, right?
Instead of the replace the.
Yeah, but it'll be.
Right now
for
it
the-
is.
Because, we can't, unless we want to go back and revise the strategic plan, that's what we,
That's what we wrote.
How about
a
if you
couple
say
years
the
ago.
library is a community center?
First point is that when we update the
we need to.
strategic plan, because this is what was.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, but that's a good,
We could just switch it out and say it's a community center.
yeah, I'm gonna
Then it won't matter.
go back to my original one here. Okay. So
only-
anything that you wanted to point out?
Found a room scheduling software yet.
Okay, because I know he's been working on
And he
it, and
asked
there
me to
was
move it to
a.
2023. There's a little glitch with the
with
program
the-
at Shorewood.
Right, okay.
And then the
Point-
director at Shorewood left, so.
Point of discussion on that. And I'm gonna be jumping ahead a little bit. So when I went 8 objectives that, things that were not achieved. Okay. I was quite disappointed in that, in the fact that if we're going to put something together, everything needs to be accomplished by the end of the year, or in a meeting to come off the plan. It doesn't go on the plan unless you're gonna commit to do it. Now, we'll have a different conversation, when we're talking about 2023. But that really was a big eye opener. There were a lot of not completeds, and it was, unless I've been missing, that these things were being moved to 2023.
I agree, and there was somewhere like, the end date was Q2, so we did have an opportunity to talk about it.
So,
We need to be more, I think we need to be more aware of the strategic plan
Right.
throughout the year. I know we were doing the quarterly meetings, but
Right.
like you, I didn't have the sense like we were missing 3. Well, it should have been done in Q2, so why do we know about that and why weren't we talking about it?
or like, I think in a case like this, it's not that it was not being worked on. He has been working on it, and you've been
He wants
updating
it
on
very
it,
much. He
us
wants it
on
very
it all year, so maybe instead of not completed, asked to be moved to 2023, it has been ongoing. And it was, some of the things within our control that weren't completed, that's one thing, but if there's other things outside of our control, that he was under the, side of our control, that he was under the, he has been working with, wasn't it?
Shorewood.
About with theirs, and then there was a delay on their end, and then they wanted to use it for so long before they
Yeah,
let
they
him
wanted
look
to
at
have a
it and all that
handle on
kind
it
of stuff,
before
so
he came into
I'm
the
wondering if just
Yeah,
let
they
him
wanted
look
to
at
have a
it and all that
handle on
kind
it
of stuff,
before
so
he came into
I'm
the
wondering if just some of the wording is different, cause, looking at it here, it's like he asked to move it to 2023, looks like nothing was done, when in fact, he has been working on it all year, so,
He does want this very badly.
yeah, he has been working on it all year, so,
He does want this very badly.
yeah, right.
This particular software that Shorewood's using has great potential because it's within our
Okay.
budget.
Right, so just point out which ones maybe, are,
I should have put in progress.
maybe, are,
I should have put in progress.
okay, I think that's the wording we used last time.
Because it's in progress, it just
Sure.
hasn't been,
Okay,
Let me start with number 1, evaluate potential improvements to existing internal external communications. What improvement?
Internal communication.
But I think
which is-
Mike's point is, we don't know, because it's not in the plan, what we did.
Yeah, or,
Well, I guess I was gonna
or even
explain
some
it
of the stuff,
here.
now this is gonna come up likely when we have our quarterly meetings. Okay, this is what was done, and then you can detail the heck out of stuff like, okay, here's the new thing that was done. And then you can, all you have to do is go back and include all those types of details on there. Because right now, when you're looking at it, that it's completed, it's kind of thin on the information of exactly what it is that was accomplished.
And I'm not sure this is the format for those details.
Because I think to Mike's point,
Right.
and Mike, I don't wanna put words in your mouth, but this is a historical document that we can show to, the city and the community.
Right.
This is what we did, right? And not having Jennifer having to explain it, but having somebody go back and say, okay, this is what the library did the past, year, and not just completed, but like, we did all
Or,
these
oh,
things.
you're on the library board of trustees,
Yeah,
and now I'm dancing.
Right.
Because I
'Cause you
don't,
don't know the
I don't
details.
know, whereas if I had the information, then I can be an advocate and help sell all the good stuff that's going on in the library, which is another thing that, we all know that we do, but it's hard, which is another thing that, we all know that we do, but it's hard to do it if you don't have the details.
Well, I do
So-
also think these are called goals. Sometimes we don't hit our
Nope.
goals in a year.
No, I disagree. I worked for a company that had two different approaches. The original one said, okay, for a company that had two different approaches. The original one said, okay, we'll have goals, and then, you try to have stretch, right? But if it went beyond your reach, that's okay. Second one that came through said, if you're gonna put the thing on there, commit the resources to do it. If you're gonna put the thing on there, commit the resources to do it, and if something gets in the way, let us know, because these things are important enough that we want to make sure that we get it done. So that's why I'm pushing back on that, is that, and again, we'll talk about this when we're doing about the 2023 one, and again, we'll talk about this when we're doing about the 2023 one. Let's think about the why they weren't done. We'll think about the why they weren't done then, and we'll have the conversation then. But I think we should be,
Well,
if
in this-
it's important enough to put on here, it's just like,
well, in
if
this-
it's important enough to put on here, it's just like, then let's say we're gonna do it. Otherwise, you put a plan together, let's say you're going on vacation, right? You're going on vacation, you're planning on going someplace, but, did we bring enough money? Well, now we can't do the whole Did we bring enough money? Well, now we can't do the whole vacation.
I agree with you, it's not okay to put a whole bunch of stuff on there and then not achieve any of it, like, we do need to know why or whatever, but
I mean,
more
it does
information,
come
but
up
I
in
don't-
their evaluations. But I can't really count it against Brinny because Sarah was
yes,
on
I
the.
don't
That's
think
okay.
that's
I'm
what we're
just- I'm
saying,
just
I don't think
making
that's what we're saying.
I'm making a 30,000-foot view, okay? Because we're responsible for putting together, or helping putting together a good plan that was gonna be done, gets done.
It's like our master plan for the city.
Right,
Yeah.
well,
Well,
That might be
but
good.
right, you know what, and then it's all a matter of how it's managed, right? So that we have to have, going in, we have to say, okay, yes, I can go with this. No,
do
that's not the
something,
point.
because we didn't have an Oculus program, but at the same time, sort of both of your points, look, goals don't have to be completed, but I think we need to have a document where it doesn't look like we had a whole bunch of goals and we didn't put the resources into it and then it didn't get done. We
Yeah.
have to have explanations of what's going on with the goals, whether it's ongoing or, like for Sam, the VR class, pulls it out. And this is not a situation where goals often are aspirational. We have a strategic plan. And the reason we have the goals on here is to meet that strategic plan that we adopted. So at some point, we do have to complete them. So at least in my mind, it's a matter of being, I think, more informative in where we are on the goals and
You just have like 3 bullet points that say,
So expand it and,
underneath each block, I mean, you could do just even that
So
one.
just a little more explanation as to why they weren't hang on, how we're, and then further discussion as to how we're going to,
Yes, that since we are reviewing the 22, we cannot go back and change this. That maybe some of these discussions, we could wait for when we look at 2023. So we can
Absolutely.
get through
Not a problem.
yep,
this in a little more. So why don't we focus on accomplishments from 2022 and we'll improve on the, yeah.
Came to mind just the potential for football analogies when we work on this.
We're good.
As coach here, you know, I mean, it's literally, we got a 4-quarter operation here, and it's, thing is, well, yeah, it's difficult, as you say, and if you don't get the goal, then, well, okay, you better go back and say, well, what went wrong with that? What was wrong with that approach?
Right.
Or what needed to be done better?
No, that piece of that's really important.
All righty. Quick comments on that? Okay. Goal number 3 is the services and collections. We will increase the use of our services by expanding the library's presence in the community by providing enhanced access to a variety of resources. Anything you want to specifically point out for that one, Jennifer?
Well, we're not gonna do Strauss for the business.
Yeah, you think?
But we have the cheese place. We're gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna send out letters. We're gonna try to get, funds.
Sure.
What's that? Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's
think
what-
it
She's got
is.
part
I
of it,
am.
so.
For next
Oh,
year, I
for
talked
this-
with Carrie and she's like,
show some of,
and
It's
Northwestern
on
Mutual,
Oh, I see it on the other
2023's,
side.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Northwestern Mutual Foundation has very
yeah,
specific things that they will, and
right.
it's not gonna work with what we're doing, so. Other than that, the new library collection programming, you'll see that in 2023, because we've had a not great
Yeah.
response with the senior apartments, but we're thinking about daycares now. About
That's a
having
great
library
idea.
collections and daycares
Right.
in 2023, because we've had a not great
Yeah.
response with the senior apartments, but we're thinking about daycares now. About
a
having
great
library
idea.
collections and daycares.
Right.
And then Carrie promises that she is going to start the
Promise.
foreign language collection. There's now. About having
a great
library
idea.
collections and daycares.
Right.
And then Carrie promises that she is going to start the
Promise.
foreign language collection.
For adults.
But we're gonna have to
Yeah.
find money for it, which is part of the problem, because her
Okay.
budget.
And why can't
that
we
she-
use materials? I mean, why do we have to find money?
Because she can bear, going to start the
Promise.
foreign language collection.
For adults.
But we're gonna have to
Yeah.
find money for it, which is part of the problem, because her
Okay.
budget.
And why can't
that
we
she-
use materials? I mean, why do we have to find money?
Because she can barely,
Oh, okay.
she,
Barely keeps up with
she can
normal.
barely keep
Okay.
up. Adult fiction
Yeah,
is very.
Yeah.
Fiction
yeah.
is very.
Yeah.
Popular and expensive.
Okay.
So that would be my thing, but you'll see that there's some new things they wanna try in 2023.
Okay, and then for marketing and awareness, the goal is that we will increase public awareness of the library community. And there were several goals under that.
I mean, I feel pretty good about this one, because
Yeah.
I think that we've really
Yep.
accomplished a lot in this area.
One thing I think we need to watch out for is that we've got marketing awareness. So understanding that the same individuals who are working on this also worked on things in other places where
Right.
stuff didn't get done.
Yep.
When we start talking about 2023 things, let's be concerned about volume, right?
would I, am I remembering this properly? Did your library card, we can now get them digitally, was that a thing?
On the app, you can
You
pull
can
it up.
renew.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? You can do it online?
Yeah, and then, but we can also carry a digital card now.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I gotta download that.
Oh,
So otherwise,
Yeah, it's very handy, and a lot of people use that.
and it would save making cards.
right.
Oh, well, they still have a physical card.
seems like a lot of places are getting rid of those.
Yeah.
I know it's,
One of the things I'm excited about in 2023, or soon, I don't know if it'll happen, I don't want to promise, because, but they're beta testing, checking out with your phone at some of the other libraries. So that would be very exciting.
it would be, I have a Samsung, you guys are all fools for not using
Yeah.
this.
Mhm.
Oh,
How is that gonna work with the security? 'Cause
It
part of that
unlocks
is-
it somehow,
Oh, it
I don't,
does.
I'm
Okay.
not a techie. I'm not a
Alrighty.
techie.
Organizational health,
Whoa,
number,
whoa.
okay.
You have an item on here which I think is really interesting. Create the process for a regular,
That one is, Glenn,
did you create a process or do we just have a list of addresses?
we kind of have a process, because Glenn is going to get us the addresses of people who get new service.
So you have a process where
We won't have
every
names.
so often
We
you,
want to address to, new resident.
right.
Um,
Is that something you have to initiate once a quarter with Glenn, or
yeah,
does he
he
have?
sends the, it's not, I have to talk to him, because he hasn't sent me one, but he said, I don't know if it's monthly or quarterly, he
Okay.
sends the list to
Okay.
water and sewer. So
Gotcha.
when he does that, it's a process.
Right, yeah.
And the other thing I want Laura to do is to reach out to some of the local real estate agents to a welcome packet from the library to give to people who
Do
are
we
moving
have-
into Franklin.
We're kind of like, we got started, but yeah, this is really important because it's gonna get in new users, increase
Right.
circulation, probably get more attendance and programming, things like that. Those are gonna be like really strategic initiatives. So we wanna make sure that even if we're like partly done in
Right.
2022, if there's something we should be doing in 2023 to follow on that we know we've got it down.
Well, and just a suggestion too along those lines, I know that the outreach to the senior communities has not been super successful, but every single week they have new people moving in to those places. And so my mom, who has an Oak Creek card, spent 2 years checking out books here in Franklin because she still had was listed as an Oak Creek and resident, even though her address changed, but she did not change it at the library. So that could be affecting some of those counts for, the reciprocal borrowing.
Oh, yeah.
So I would say, outreach to the senior communities, Brentwood and New Perspectives and all the other ones, to make sure that the Franklin residents in the library system. So, all right. Anything else? Comments about the marketing?
Is that a city newsletter thing we could just do? If you're new.
Yeah. The library will continuously develop and implement well-developed and executed plans to strengthen our staffing, buildings and grounds, and finances. So again, we're looking at what they put forth in 2022 first. So,
Meetings planned, we had 3, January, March, and May, then the budget hit, March and May had to be virtual because she was actually also the finance director and the city administrator at that time. But then the budget hit and she was training
Yep.
Denise, and so we have not had, other than we've met, but
Sure.
not specifically. Carrie is learning the role, she's helped me with the budget.
so in
She's-
progress, that's a good way to say that.
She's learning how
Yep.
to do board packets and the stuff in BSNAR software packets and the stuff in BSNAR software. Have her take an open meetings course, so she kind of understands that. So that is in progress, and will be continued in 2023. Security. Security,
Then we
Up.
got a new director of administration and finance officer, and we just had another finance officer leave too. on
oh,
Tuesday.
Chris. Um,
Oh, the
Security you were
security,
talking
yeah.
about.
oh, sorry, yeah, security, that's kind of on hold. So we'll talk about that at the board meeting, actually.
Okay,
But that will continue in 2023 until we have a system.
Okay.
But that will continue in 2023 until we have a system in place.
gotcha. Well, and you did, you are working towards that with what you have put in, even though it's not exactly the complete, it's not a complete, even though it's not exactly the complete, it's not a complete security system, you have increased, some,
Some parts of it,
anti-theft,
but
yeah,
it's,
yeah.
yeah, but it's not
It's
what
not
we
like a
want.
secure, right,
No, it's
exactly.
not external, there's no external
Right,
cameras.
right. Secure, right,
No, it's
exactly.
not external, there's no external
Right, right.
cameras.
You have a date for the library night at the Milton game?
May 21st, yeah.
Great. Any other comments about, or questions about what was completed in or questions about what was completed in 2022? Okay, so then looking at the 2023 action plan, I am hearing that we want, maybe some more, details in that. So when we look back on it, we can, things not just like, the one that Mike said, evaluate improvements, well, what does that mean? So that's something that maybe we can work at here. And then also, this isn't really in this, action plan, but over the course of this year, making numbers so we can then see a trend. And if there's any way to, assign somebody to go back and get those,
Yeah.
more of those numbers, so we can see, increases from what to what, so that if we're
What about
asking
people
for an increase again, where we're at and where we're going to.
Went right and what,
And that would be, you mean after each section?
well, not
No, at the
even-
end.
just
Oh, at the
right
very
at
end.
the end, just write
Okay.
a summary up and then it can say, this.
Were you going to give a fourth quarter, action plan summary this month at the board meeting? All right. Maybe for the quarterly updates, you could do that.
Well, I was thinking bullet points under
Mhm,
notes
mhm.
and just having more detail
Mhm.
and just doing smaller text to fit more.
Okay. All right, so looking at our action plan, I will not, so Jennifer has worked with her staff to come up with these goals, what they think is doable, what they want to focus on. I'm sure some of it is what they personally feel like they are able to do this year, what they're interested, all that kind of stuff. So this was put together by the staff and Jennifer, and guiding them. So,
Can I call a timeout?
sure.
Okay. It's like, I was thinking, but before,
Please.
before we get into conversation about the 2023,
Mhm.
and understanding how the plan was put together, and knowing that we had a whole bunch of things, okay? Can we have a discussion on the why?
Like why things weren't completed.
Yeah,
Some of it was staffing,
okay?
some of it was external, like we just can't find another location for an adult
Which would you
collection.
say is probably the,
And what do you mean by that, not having enough people?
Well, having a children's librarian out on
Maternity leave. There was a
Having-
turnover of,
having less support with the library assistants because we had a lot of turnover, retirements,
yeah, there's a lot this
new
year.
people coming in,
Leaving, coming.
maybe we can have some of these things as a backdrop for then when we're going through this, have that in the back of your mind. It's like, okay, one of the big reasons why in 2022 we didn't get things done is because we just didn't have the staff in order to do it. Nobody's fault,
Right.
right? Plan so that we can continue to deliver services and grow. Does that mean that, okay, should we be looking at saying, I need a bigger budget for staffing? Or I need to rearrange responsibilities for staffing? Or I need to be a little bit, or whatever, in the things that I put forward, knowing, in hindsight, looking at 2022, let's not go ahead and make the same mistake again and saying, look at all the wonderful things we have in 2023, and then we're gonna be in the same boat at the end of the year. I would rather have something in a strategic plan that's a year. I would rather have something in a strategic plan that says, you know, we cannot move forward as a library unless we have additional money. Or we cannot move forward as a library if we don't have additional staff. You know, and then put a stake in the ground and say, okay, how are we gonna do that? How are we gonna get more money, or how are we gonna get more staff? Okay, how are we gonna do that? How are we gonna get more money, or how are we gonna get more staff? Because I've just seen way too many situations where we just keep cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting, and then who is the people gonna point the finger at when the library can no longer deliver on the types of things? I can remember when the library used to do this, or deliver on the types of things. I can remember when the library used to do this, right? Or I remember when the library used to be a place that grew, right? So if this board will help in taking responsibility for making that type of stuff happen, but I think that's like a really big deal here. But I think that's like a really big deal here, is that if we're not getting things done because we don't have the money or we don't have the staffing that we should have.
Or maybe we're stretching the staff too thin by
You're
asking
right.
them to do too much.
Now, we talked a while ago about, you know, if we take a look at, for a community our size, a while ago about, you know, if we take a look at, for a community our size, how should we be staffed? But no library is staffed that way anyway, but knowing what we want to achieve and knowing the talent that we have and the time and things like that, and say, okay, I can only count on my staff I can only count on my staff operating at 85 or 90%, because I'm going to have people that are going to be on maternity leave, or I'm going to have somebody that's going to be out for a while, or this or that is going to happen. If we plan for everybody operating at 100%, you wouldn't even do that to a machine, right? So you wouldn't even do that to a machine, right? So I think we have to be fair to the people so that when they say, or when they have their name next to something, that this is what's going to get done, that they're able to do it, right? You don't want to have to be holding people's feet to the fire and say, because like what was said, you know, if we look at this as being something that's kind of a report card of how things went, we said we were going to do this, but just kidding. However you want to read it, but, you know, we need to be careful when we're doing that. So then I'll be done. So then as we're going through these things, let's make sure that it's just like, I would rather have two things underneath something,
Right.
have them be home runs and a really big deal. And the other saying, okay, we're going to assume that people are going to only be operating at this. And do people find the time outside of their regular job, right? If you're programming or whatever like that, to do these things, right? If these are projects beyond the day-to-day, you gotta make sure that they've got the times.
Right.
Which I think kind of gets back to possibly the staffing thing. So, we don't wanna hurt ourselves by not being able to grow.
I guess especially if we're carrying some things over, plus we have new goals.
Right, so just that the board supports them doing what they're comfortable doing and knowing that they can accomplish and not feeling like they have to do too much.
Like
That-
if there's something they feel like, you know what, it's just, so we take it off now versus
Right.
being 3/4 in and then.
Having to mark it as.
Yeah, we'd rather take it off
Yeah.
sooner and make sure that we save that time for, you know, the things that we're prioritizing.
I mean, I think you're gonna be a lot happier director too, if you know that people
Are less
have
stressed.
things that they can do. And at the end of the day, we look back and we go, yeah, we did everything we said we we're gonna do, and it's fantastic. I'd rather have that.
Yep.
And on the other hand, or whatever, that, you know, Laura's job is outreach, right? So your staff, guiding her as to what we wanna see that works towards the strategic plan and bigger goals is helpful to her too. So we don't, strategic plan and bigger goals is helpful to her too. So we don't wanna not have these goals for the librarians who, you know, that's what their job is, to do some of this, so let's guide them in that. You know, but, some of the extra stuff, or if it feels extra, you know, but, some of the extra stuff, or if it feels extra, then,
Maybe it should be these plus, if we have time, like the wish list kind
well,
of.
right, I'm sure
goals.
they're always have it in the back of their mind what they can be, you know, working on next, or doing, you know.
I mean, your staff is,
Be, you know, working on next, or doing, you know.
I mean, your staff is full of yes people, just like
Right.
you are. 'Cause, you know, they all wanna do more, they enjoy, I was talking to Sarah about something and about future things and the strategic plan and whatever, and she's like, I am never leaving here.
I know, she told me that one day, and I'm like, never say never.
I know. Because I
Right.
was talking about, you know, eventually we're gonna have to redo the children's area and, you know, like eventually these things. She's like, yes, I am never leaving here, so yes. Push for that. I'm like, wow, really? But, I mean, you have staff that are,
Job, whatever you give them, but don't fill their plate too much.
yes,
Right,
yes.
right.
Because we still don't wanna burn them out and stress them and.
Right, because then what happens if we get to that point and then all of a sudden, Sarah's not really so happy
Right.
anymore?
Right,
Right.
so you
Good point.
definitely.
She's
Yeah.
gonna have to eat her words.
They might not want, oh, I can do that. They all, you know, a lot of your staff is young kids and,
Right.
you know, you got, they're burning.
Well, there's the
both
work-life
ends.
balance, which we talked
Right.
about in organizational health.
Right, so,
One other general comment. I think everybody here is aware of happening over at the city and the
Yeah.
turnover. Did you just say that they have a new administrator or no?
No.
I didn't think so. Okay, I have talked to Jennifer about this already, that I think we could have an opportunity this year to really drive our own budget. And to really drive our own budget. And not only are we down the city administrator, the finance person, now more finance people, alderman, mayor, I mean, like, there is like humongous turnover there. So I think this is like humongous turnover there. So I think we get our act together and walk in there and say, this is what we need this year, and this is what we want. And just be very proactive about our budget. And so I think that's gonna be something we'll be talking about in
I think
upcoming
more-
board I think that's gonna be something we'll be talking about in
I think
upcoming
more-
board meetings,
the
so,
more organized and confident that we are when we do that,
right.
they're gonna be like, oh yeah, they know what they're
And,
doing.
and present it in a way like, we'll do it for you so you don't have to,
Mhm.
you know?
Well, and that can start with a very tight strategic plan for 2023.
Right,
You get in early now,
Yeah.
and then you get in front of folks and say, thank you for the time. We just wanted to let you know, we appreciate all of the kudos on the things that we did in 2022.
right?
You know, we
Here's-
gave you an update on that.
Yeah.
So now let's go ahead and, it's a courtesy call to let them know, you're giving us all this money to do stuff, right? We're running a fantastic library, and we're gonna be doing these things,
Mhm.
right? And so we don't need to darken the sky with, here's all the stuff that we're gonna do, especially if, but, you know, I think, to be honest with you, from a strategic plan, there needs to be a certain amount of wow factor in it. Like, it's, you know, these are like big nuts that you want to want to achieve. There needs to be something in there, a couple things throughout the whole plan, but definitely a few things that are going to be, yeah, and you know what? It's probably gonna take us 3 years to finish this, but we're gonna start it in this is gonna be our year one for it, those types of things, you know?
Jennifer, I don't know as if the council's invested enough. I mean, I know my time is really spread, but I'm wondering, like they do the National Night Out, the library's involved, but they're not really connecting with the alderman. I wonder if there's an event that you do specifically jointly with the common council to get to know the people in the library and library board. Personally, as many times as I've been here, all the reading I do, I don't have time to even come into the library to get the books. That may change now in April, but, I don't even really know a lot of the staff here. I really love what the library does, and I'm always telling how great the library board is and how great the programs are. And I was at a party not even in the city last night. I'm like, oh, I got a board meeting tomorrow with great people, and they're all literate, all fun, friendly, So I'm always putting that plug in, but it's hard for us to get to know the staff and.
I wonder if after the elections, with the new council and everything, if we could host an event. So, that's a great idea. Have the staff, I don't know.
Okay.
All righty, on to the 2023 action plan, and I will let you speak to this, Jennifer, because you and your staff created these goals. So the first goal is programming.
It's from them, I think. But, so we'll continue the survey with the goal. We had a debate over this. How high do we need to set the?
Oh, the percentage, okay.
And
So that's
Jerry's like,
just 25%
At least
at,
25.
for programming overall, not an increase, but at 25% of the people who attend to fill out surveys.
Yeah.
I think that's,
Now, I got a good response because I actually stood up in
Right.
front of the program and said, please fill out our survey, because we
Right,
want to hear
right.
from you and we want to get,
Right.
you'll give us our ideas for future programming, what you'd
Right.
like to see. And
Can
so
we
I
make
think,
a certain amount of time? I'm a teacher. There's something that needs to be communicated, wait till the kids all get their backpacks on and get ready to go out the door, right? Can you make sure that whoever's doing the program leaves enough time as in part of the program?
oh, right, the
It's
last,
just like, okay.
10 minutes.
So that every program, I think 25% survey participation, especially if it's if I'm sending a survey out into the ether and I get 25%, that's great. But if you're a physical body there,
well, I got 50, I got over 50.
I don't
Well-
think 25% is too low,
Here's-
because, look, we do these all the time at like CLEs. People leave, I
Yeah.
mean, and we'll do it and we'll get maybe program, and they don't want to stick around. So
And
I
I-
don't think 25% is too low. I think that's probably a good goal.
and I think
to
there's
start off with.
such a diverse, and a diverse
does
type
it
of,
take that long to fill out a survey?
Well, and our
If it's that
survey's
important to
short.
do the survey, then,
Yeah, unless people are really, really upset about a program or really ecstatic, you're probably.
well, and
so-
okay, so
That's
they
my-
count participation in programming if I walk up to the information desk and get 2 little paper lunch bags that have how to make a bracelet in them for my daughters. Where is the opportunity to give feedback on that, and is my 13-year-old gonna, to give feedback on that, and is my 13-year-old gonna fill out a survey about it? But they count as programming, so if that
So
is
this
if that paper bag is a program, which we're counting as a program, and for those hundreds of paper bags given out to those teenagers, and for those hundreds of paper bags given out to those teenagers, we're not getting any feedback, but 100% of the moms who come to such and such a kid program are filling it out. There's gonna be some averaging out, and
Well,
I
Laura's-
don't think 25%.
do you get-
Averaging out, and
Well,
I
Laura's-
don't think
Yeah, but
25%.
do you get a lot of people
know.
from the teen programs? My teenager would never sit around and fill out a survey.
Exactly, yeah.
What if there was something in it for her?
No.
I'm just thinking, okay, sorry, okay, because I'm just thinking of
sorry.
Try that
incentives.
bribery with
I
our
lose
kids
my
all
my
the
daughter.
time.
Okay, sorry, okay, because I'm just thinking of
sorry.
Try that
incentives.
bribery with
I
our
lose
kids
my
all
my
the
daughter
time.
be like, no, like she's
Well,
like,
and
whatever.
here's the issue
So-
with that.
Try it.
You know, when we talked about doing the strategic, when we were doing the strategic plan, we said one of the things that we wanted to make sure is that if we are going to have one of the things that we wanted to make sure is that if we are going to have a program, we are going to understand whether there were going to be enough people participating in the program, and if we were meeting the people's needs, should we keep on doing it? Because otherwise, you start a program, and the program, and you know, how do you know if it's successful?
Well, can't you figure that out by whether people attend or not? Like, I
Then
thought
do
that was,
we need a survey?
well, I think the survey was to provide feedback on, I don't know what your questions were, I thought it was
There's only
on the
4.
program and on future programs that they want, right? And I don't know what your questions were, I
There-
thought it was
there's only
on the
4.
program and on future programs that they want, right? So it's not just soliciting information on that particular
And there's
program.
only 4 questions.
you know?
I mean, I told them, make it simple, 1 to 5 circle, you know, and then.
So is the feedback we're soliciting on the program itself, or is it just about future?
So
Okay.
it's
Because
one,
if it was just about future
half of it is
programs,
on
yeah.
the program they're in. And the last part is on what they would like to see.
Because if it was just future programs, you could give at the beginning, like fill it out, you know,
You make
whatever
it
they
1
want.
to 3, I hate that in between trying to decide.
Oh, yeah.
1 to 3 is the same as,
Because then you got, well, was it really a
you don't
3?
want to
Was
have a
it-
middle. You
was
want to
it
have an
4?
even number. You should have 1 to 4. So you don't
Okay.
have a,
Oh,
All
Anyway,
right,
I don't know. So I guess my viewpoint is I don't think 25% is too low, but I don't know.
It's a
But-
number you and your staff came up with, and so we tried this
Well,
year and
I
decide
said
that, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's hard.
Right,
So-
so then do they count like every single week at Storytime as a program, or like once a month? Have them fill out an evaluation, I mean, like, what are we talking about? Is Doris gonna have to fill out a stinking evaluation every time she brings her 4-year-old here
the
for
children's is gonna,
Storytime?
those repetitive programs,
That's all,
then my, family records organization
Right,
program.
okay,
It's-
all right.
They're just gonna be different.
gotcha,
So maybe I need to break this up a little bit,
think about it.
yeah.
beat that up so badly.
Brittany's pretty excited about the idea of partnering
That
with a
is-
local senior center to do an intergenerational.
So do we already have a relationship with the centers?
New Perspectives, a little bit. Claire
So
Meadows,
this
a
is
little
really a
bit.
toofold thing, right? First off, we have to
Right.
establish a relationship with the senior
Mm-hmm.
centers. Because if we're gonna develop and market 2 programs, do we already have a good enough relationship that we're gonna hit that 2 programs?
Person senior meals yet? I thought they were just doing pickup.
They have the senior meal over at the Root River Center.
But they don't, I don't think they have an in-person one over here yet.
Okay.
So she wants to.
So
take,
she,
like,
I mean, maybe adding it on to, if you're not having success at the seniors, that, you know.
Is she trying to take like a daycare and a senior center together and do story time?
Or even at New Perspectives, you have a grandchild, invite your grandchild in.
Okay, so they're inviting the kids in. Okay.
I think it could be marketed to, you wanna take your kid over
Yeah,
there for
that
story time
too.
today?
Although that might be there might be a little bit more. I don't know.
I know, I was just gonna say,
There's some-
like, it might be hard,
It depends on the facility, I'm sure. If
I
they-
think it would be easier to just have the seniors invite kids rather than
Having it be the place to go for a story
public.
time. Having it be the place to go for a story
Public.
time. Well, we'll let,
Well,
Yeah.
we'll let
that'll
the
be their-
staff
they'll
figure
have-
this out.
Yeah.
We'll look at the goals here, how
Yeah.
about, so.
Because it'll be up to the senior center as to
Right.
what they're gonna allow.
But she can, as she works on it, she can give us updates on how it's,
It's a good, it's a good idea.
right,
If she has time to do it.
You know, in,
updates on how it's,
It's
Yeah,
a
but no.
good, it's a good idea.
right.
If she has time to do it.
when the school did it over Pleasantview, when my kids were there, they had people coming.
Invite
the
to,
school.
right,
And
I
my
just-
daughter just had
I
some
know.
seniors that she just
Love,
loved.
I know, I think it's a great idea. I just don't, like, post-COVID,
Right,
I just don't, like, post-COVID.
right.
There's a
yeah.
lot of different ways I think it can be done, so.
Okay, I'm gonna have my foot over the brake pedal
Yep.
the whole time over here. What is magical about 2 programs? every place we're gonna develop and market 2 programs. Do we already kind of have an idea that we know, because we talked about it? Because I would just as soon say, develop and market a program and
Well,
hit that
yeah.
one, and if you do 2, that's fine. Because we,
I like that.
you know, because we're doing 2. You know, we got 2, Brittany's got 2
Yeah.
programs for the seniors and 2 programs for the local daycare, you know, and then you've got 2 programs for, if there's the thinking behind it and you've got 2 programs in mind, and yep, you know, we can nail this, that's fine, but otherwise, a
I
program,
would say develop at least one program. How about that, at least?
I like that.
Or 2 programs with either the senior center or a local daycare, either. You know, we already know that the response from some of the senior
I like,
things,
I
you know,
like that, I like that.
maybe
I like
combine
that.
those
Combine the 2.
Combine
2
the,
programs at either,
Yeah, because maybe one could be at the senior center and one could be the seniors go to the daycare.
so combine,
yeah.
Yeah.
We just don't want too much. I mean, as
Yeah.
far as like too much potential for
I
failure
know that
or
what they've
whatever.
been doing, at least for now, is they've been doing basically the same program at 2 different time slots. So,
Sure.
and it's geared, one is geared towards slots. So,
Sure.
and it's geared, one is geared towards the Tales for 2. So like
Right.
2-year-olds, and then the next one is like the preschool age, so I'm not sure if that's what they're maybe thinking, it's 2 different programs, but it's basically the same content.
Sure, sure,
yeah,
Uh,
It would
so
be the
it's the same content.
sure, sure.
yeah. It
So-
would be the same, I mean, you develop one program, you just take it to
Right.
another,
Right, so I
Another
don't know
place.
if that's,
But I like Kristen's idea where just like, if we
At
say
least.
at least 1,
yeah,
Yeah,
then they can be
You can-
overachieving,
yeah,
then they can be
You can-
overachieving,
yeah.
write it out that way, yeah, that's a good idea.
all right,
Um,
next. The VR program?
the VR program, so that one is, Sam would do one, Laura, and then Sam would work with Laura on doing one for
Excellent.
teens. That's, on doing one for
Excellent.
teens, that's very doable. And I'll combine those 2. And then Laura is very excited about her work with the, literacy special, reading literacy, the reading specialists at the schools. So,
Here where I'm not library, so I don't know what passive programming is. What's passive programming?
well, our passive programming is our kits.
Picking up the paper
So-
lunch bag with the bracelet
Yeah.
kit in it would be passive.
So she could create some kit, I mean, I'm guessing that's what she's talking about, passive programming where, which is good for teens, but if
Yeah.
you give them something.
Right.
Well, but that might be a problem. If the library director has to guess at what language means.
What's that?
If you
Oh,
have to guess, it probably should be more.
well, passive programming to the librarians is,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, I know that, so that's what I'm,
Guessing, or she's planning on doing that, because later on in the plan is, you know, a goal of working with the Indian Community School, that she could maybe then do that same thing as she develops that relationship too, under outreach.
Now, when you put IE, Forest Park
For
Middle School,
example,
that
yeah.
means we're doing it at Forest Park.
that's one,
We're doing it at Forest Park.
that's one place that she's identified that she will be doing it.
And let's just, I tell you what, develop at least one program, specify Forest Park Middle School, and then if something happens where now, okay, this seems Forest Park Middle School, and then if something happens where now, okay, this seems to be successful, we'll go ahead and we'll do it,
At the
you
Indian
know,
Community
at,
School, right.
at someplace else, so we go ahead and do it, but then it'll be measured as to whether it got done or didn't get done at Forest Park.
Okay.
That's good. Very clear. That's good. Very clear.
Okay.
All right, anything else under programming? All right, Community Hub.
Well, they've actually already started it, so I hope you're okay with it. They're
Absolutely.
The children's librarians have decided they want to put all new materials into one location. They have studied it, they have looked at other libraries, they feel that this would be a good thing. Because I said, do you think this is gonna increase circulation?
I don't think this goal belongs here. I think it belongs in collections,
Oh, that's true.
because it's got nothing to do with the community, other than the fact we're just talking about
True,
children.
okay.
So if we were to move it over to the,
And does that include the young adult?
No.
No, okay.
This is just
Just all-
children.
that's
Young
a good
adult,
suggestion.
young adult only has, they don't have as many different areas.
Areas.
Children's has easy readers, they
Right.
have new media, they have
Right.
new fiction, they have
Yeah.
new nonfiction, new graphic novels.
Right, okay.
So, whereas
All
young
the-
adults,
Is just, yeah.
and this is a Q.
like, if you go out there, they've already started.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I was just saying, you know, we're already
Yeah.
halfway
Yeah,
through
they're-
January, so.
No, they're well on their way to
Good.
accomplishing that goal by going.
How do you get this 10%? How do you come up with those?
Now, that's, well,
And,
new
yeah,
materials.
think about what it is that you're doing, and if increasing circulation is the proper metric for that. You know, if you're reorganizing the thing, are you reorganizing it to increase circulation? Then you
I
would,
do feel that it will increase the circulation of new materials.
what? Just because of the way that it's
Because,
gonna be.
because all new stuff will be, and they think, it also, they feel it will highlight, like, some people may not know.
Kind of like when you had the cart out for,
Yeah.
here's like the new
Right.
DVDs and the books.
Right,
Some-
right now the new material is low, it's not, and then
And
they
it's
have
in each
some on these
section.
little circle
Yeah.
table, it's hard to display the new.
They
where
felt that
they
it
had
would
them.
it would also increase awareness
Right,
of the materials that they have over there, because the children's section, more than any other section in the library, feeling like they can highlight it, people can see, oh, you have chapter books, you know,
Right, or-
where are the rest of your chapter books?
That's what I was gonna say. Oh, there's nonfiction for
and-
kids.
yeah.
Okay, so that's a really smart goal.
But they don't know how else to measure it other than,
No, that's fine, you explained it. That's
Okay.
fine, because that's
Okay.
fine, because if you're not getting people going there or pulling or stuff like that.
or knowing that
because
we
it-
even have those things.
Right,
You know?
Right.
now that
exactly.
area is kind of, actually the tree, because I was actually thinking about that last night. Having the tree there actually kind of throws the whole area, off, because it sort of blocks such a big
Yeah.
area of the library. It makes
Mhm.
things hard, it makes things not only hard to see the children, but it's just a big area of space that's sort of,
Yeah. Yeah.
almost unusable, except for allows kids to just run like crazy and play. So then it sort of casts off like the books and stuff that are over there.
Yeah.
It just sort of throws things
Does that
off.
tree need to be rethought then? Is that what
It
Oh,
Well,
they
eventually-
would,
when
they
we
would
get-
like,
need to be rethought then? Is that what
oh,
Well,
they
when
would,
When
they
we
would like,
get to
After
the, one of
this-
the later ones where
Yeah.
we're supposed to be talking about those types of
Future,
things,
yeah.
let's bring that up
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
But so
yeah.
it just makes it hard with the books, like, everything is sort of patched together
Yep.
over there, I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up.
So
Okay.
Andy is.
Now, why Q1, Q3?
Research and then implement, because it's gonna take us a while, I mean, he's doing the,
It's a two-part process.
yeah.
He wants to have his research
Carrie
done,
and
that's
Brittany
all I
also
read that.
next week are gonna talk to the vendors at ALA.
When is it gonna be?
So-
Then let's just make it a Q3 goal.
Just make it Q3, okay.
Does that
Yeah.
mean they won't start it though, if you just put it at Q3 and they don't look at it until Q3?
Well-
then it
I think
should
that's a
be-
completion date, or
Well, I
they
think
wanna
there's
have it.
there's enough, motivation, he wants something very badly.
So he doesn't have to deal with it?
Right, I think for him, it's a
Didn't
personal
we
goal.
finish it last year, and if you just put Q3, and so what I gotta do Q1, now I gotta get to Q3 and I haven't started this one, I was kinda
No,
concerned
he's-
about that.
No,
Yeah.
you put a plan together. Now, to answer that question, we can say, okay, let's say we're now in, June, and we're looking at that particular goal. Well, we know that all of this stuff that should have been done in Q1 is done. Or at the end of Q1, when you say, okay, the planning piece is done on this, right, so we know that it's moving forward.
Can it be Q1,
Right, so we know that it's moving forward.
can it be Q1 dash Q3, so it's continuing? So,
You could do that with any one of these, you know,
It's kind of implied in some of these,
Sure,
that,
they're not
They're-
gonna
they're not-
start,
yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
keeping that in mind, what we could do is that when we're talking about these,
Yeah.
keeping that in mind, what we could do is that when we're talking about these things every quarter in the board meetings, we could say, okay, we would expect to understand, you know, if there's progress being made. So like if nothing is done on Q1, red flag,
Right.
you told me this is gonna, that we were doing this and this flag.
Right.
You told me this is gonna, that we were doing this and this and this and this, what's going on, right?
Yeah.
So,
On the timing thing, you have this happen where something is in progress and we're doing the planning meeting. Something about the calendar earlier, late, it should be, I would think, late the previous year, if that's possible. Was there some reason that we had to go to the year to plan for the year? You're already working on it, you know, you're saying, well, we're working on this, so we'll put it in the plan, period.
well, it wasn't in last year's plan, and it's something that came up, and they, you know, there's, I think they, you know, feel like, we don't have to wait until the plan is made before we start on it.
I understand.
So that, I think, is why,
I understand that,
yeah,
but I mean, it's just as.
and they want it completed, and so we don't wanna wait to start when we have the time
Sure.
or the ability.
I
That,
just-
that would be my guess.
But I
Good
just,
to
I just
see.
mean if it's the plan for this year, the planning of the goals
Oh,
that
I
was
see.
set last year.
well, a couple of things. It's only the 21st of January. Is that there's a lot of goals here that are gonna be, you know, out of it. So,
I'd rather it say continued from 2022, even if it was, instead of carryover.
Oh,
I just-
okay.
Oh, continued from, yeah, I see, yeah. Continued from, yeah, I see, yeah.
I agree.
That they didn't do
Good
it,
choice of
so they're
words.
just starting it now,
Good choice of words.
that they're,
Kind of like in progress.
right.
Okay, so wait a minute. We're in a situation like this, we just have to, okay, so wait a minute. We're in a situation like this, we just have to, it just said,
A
nobody will
continuation.
look at it and say, what does this mean?
Right, right, it's continuing, okay. So the next one, it says survey under other libraries on how they serve
Yeah.
their diverse communities. Why are other libraries on how they serve
Yeah.
their diverse communities? Why are, like, my question for that one would be, why are we surveying them?
Well, I think that was the whole diversity issue.
So what are we gonna do with that? Is that then gonna be a whole
That'll
other
probably-
goal then in
that'll hold-
2024?
Yeah, that'll
Okay.
probably be a whole, then they can develop goals based on what they learn.
Okay,
Are you saying because other libraries are more diverse? I mean,
Or
other
have more diverse
communities?
programs, and, yeah. Like sensory friendly story times, all ability story times, you know, just to get a sense of those different types of programs that we could do here that have been successful at other libraries.
They would then stop doing, because how would they otherwise fit that
add
in?
more. That's what they'll have to figure out.
Yeah. So right now, I'm like, I feel like I live here.
Well,
I mean,
working
it's
it-
great,
I know,
but-
Right,
Like, I'm here a lot.
okay, just wanted to make sure that understood that, you know, we're not, that's actually, doesn't sound like much of a goal just to ask around, you know, that we're, and I know the staff and I know what they're working towards, but it doesn't sound,
I mean, I can
Very.
remove that, and they can just do it, and,
But it's a
you know, to,
easy, but it's a
you know, to,
easy, win there, so
or
I
just,
guess.
yeah, okay.
And to report.
Or to
it's
add,
okay.
to develop, work towards developing goals for
how about if we add on,
I guess
Yeah.
it's something that it's a carryover from 2022,
No,
though,
it's
so
continued
why?
from-
It's continued, yes.
From 2022,
No,
though,
it's
so
continued
why?
from-
It's continued, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So why wasn't
so, you survey other libraries, right? And you see how they're serving, you know, and then identify.
There we go,
You know, and then identify
there we go.
one way to incorporate what they learned into, you know,
Goals for
2024.
2024, right.
Okay?
Yep.
So we're
they-
gonna
That's
see, and
what
then we're gonna pick one, because then you already have something started for the, because then you already have something started for the, because one of the things that we talked about is just like, okay, how do we now, make sure that we're,
Translate
you know,
some of
we're
this.
connecting to the communities, right? Is there something that we're missing here? And then if they pick one, then they're likely to have to really kind of reflect, this looks like the one that would best fit, and then they can sell that as to why that's the one that they pick.
When they,
Yeah.
when they come back from New Orleans,
Yeah.
do they fill out some kind of report from what they've learned, or will they?
Actually, they're gonna report to the board,
Okay,
on what they learned.
Cause like, I was thinking that might sort of go into that,
Yeah. And yeah,
This year.
you're right.
sort of a report in and.
I can take out
use it.
MICFLIS and put libraries, because it doesn't have to be
That is true,
There you
MICFLIS
go.
yes.
libraries.
Yep.
Do you really mean survey? You're gonna send them like a
Well,
survey?
survey's kind of a weird
There you go,
search.
research and report to the board, because even from the conference, that's some of the same thing, that I'm sure they're gonna get some feedback. What they learned and how they plan to implement it.
Mhm.
All right, moving on. Indian
Yeah,
Community
they
School.
really wanna increase
Um,
the relationship.
Who's they?
Well, sorry, yeah, I shouldn't say they, I have pronoun problems. Carrie, Brittany, and Laura.
Why?
I mean, not Carrie. Carrie, Brittany, and Laura.
Why?
I mean, not Carrie,
I'm
Brittany,
gonna be a
Sarah.
two-year-old, I'm gonna ask why, because, you know, it's just like, okay, you have an idea, and it's like, okay, are we creating a solution for a problem that we know doesn't exist? Why with the Indian Community School? Because it's
They
nice to
have a
do.
nice library.
Why with the Indian Community School? Because it's
They
nice to
have a
do.
nice library.
The librarian is very, I think, willing to collaborate.
Is it an
So it's a
exchange of
community?
books, maybe?
No, I
Or-
mean, we wanna get them more knowledgeable about what the library offers.
Why?
So it's a community partnership.
Why?
So it's a community partnership, like we would build
Yeah.
partnerships with other community members.
And like we did the art project, the art mural
Mhm.
project with them.
We work with the veterans groups.
Beautiful facility. Right. I have to make a point.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
the bathroom.
Even before you go in, the grounds are, well,
I
it's.
know.
you
The
know,
bathrooms have
but-
solid cherry doors.
Oh, wow.
It is.
Yeah.
So
Well,
my
I
question,
mean-
my answer to your, right? I mean, I guess that's, you know, why would we not be, like with the senior centers, we attempted reaching out to them, that hasn't gone so great. So, it's another educational facility here, so why not reach out to them and say, hey, this is what we can do, you
The
know.
goal, the
Well,
kids
that
that
is
come
true.
to the programs, or you're trying to
That
get
was
the
it, I
books.
just think that was very, very vague.
Or is it just that initial
Resources,
establishing?
library resources.
I would assume a lot of those kids do live in Milwaukee County. So, so that they could be bringing students over.
There's a
here.
few Franklin families
Sure,
there.
sure. So yeah, maybe just refining that to, okay, increase use of library services among families with students.
Services
So they-
and resources.
Library services, what,
I really don't know what the goal is here. You know, what is it that is gonna be achieved that's going to
Right, because if it's,
right? If
To
we're-
get
if
the
we're gonna
families
grow
to
our
use the
role as a
library.
community connector, right, it's just like, we have some services over there.
Well, then can we reword it to say research?
Well, let's not even have anything down there until we have the background. So we're not gonna have a goal with the Indian Community Center unless we know what it is that we wanna do.
With
Having-
them or in general.
Yeah, the original thing that we had with the Indian Community Center was to the Indian community within Franklin. Right, so that's now bringing them into the community here as far as, you know, making that a, could we have something in the way of, we're talking about it being a community hub where it's not, if it's not necessary to provide library services, can we now have one program here at the library that showcases the Native American culture and do that here at the library and help them and advertise it and locate it here, because then people will be, because then people will be coming here for that. Kind of
I
like
don't know,
when people.
their facility is pretty amazing, I don't know why they'd wanna come here when they've got their facility. That's what I'm trying to figure out is, they don't need the facility, cause
They
they've
have a
got
facility.
one. And they have a really,
They
they've
have a
got
facility.
one, and they have a really great library.
So
What,
are we saying this is a waste of time?
I think we're saying this should not be a goal.
so what if part of,
I like the, being able to connect, and I'm just, what the best method to do that.
Well,
Right, and that's
yeah,
why
and-
I'm talking.
What the best method to do that.
Well,
Right, and
yeah,
that's why
and-
I'm talking, I'm just thinking
Yeah.
out
I-
loud, trying to come up with if there is anything.
I mean, if you're gonna provide some kind of bus service where they come over here for a program or something, or, I don't know,
But, and why are we just targeting them? I mean, isn't the general goal that we want to increase the use of the library by, diverse communities in general?
Well, yeah, but then you'd still maybe want to specify which of that diversity of communities.
But,
And this
to-
one,
to-
and this one, and this one, we can come up. We have
Maybe-
some
Yeah, but
ideas.
to Kristen's point, they're not gonna use our library, the collection. So to Kristen's point, they're not gonna use our library, the collection. So if it's programming,
I don't know that.
well, Kristen's.
It may be, yeah, maybe a fabulous library, but that doesn't mean it's got what we have and vice versa.
why don't you combine the survey one, which turned into research, with the
Mm-hmm.
bottom one, cause it's both about diverse communities, and with the
Mm-hmm.
bottom one, cause it's both about diverse communities, and put them together.
or
Make it a
just as
research
part
project.
of Laura's normal job as outreach,
Right.
she could just reach out to them at some point this year and see what she can come up with. I don't know that we have
Maybe
to
it could
have a
just-
goal for her to do her job, you know what I'm
Maybe
saying?
it could just,
Like,
and-
for her to do her job, you know what I'm
maybe
saying?
it could just,
Like,
and
it
then
should
she
just-
can
then
maybe more finely tune this for next year.
Yeah, that's, cause then she'll have research and seeing what you can actually do together.
Well, and I'm not even sure how,
Or if
Yeah.
there's the need to do anything together.
yeah, and how do we measure, how do you know if it's Indian community school?
Milwaukee residents.
Right, it's
and
10% increase in
Milwaukee
use of the
County.
library by students and families. I mean, I don't know how we really identify, reach that goal.
It obviously seems like something that Sarah and Brittany are personally interested in seeing if they could do something with them, so I don't wanna discourage them from reaching out, but
But if we
I
have other
think,
job, let's not
Participate
add
in
that
their
on.
big event they had over there, it was like bears up there, I went to it. I didn't see really anybody there I knew, and I'm thinking, well, wouldn't that be a good place to start? Is to have your own table there showing programs.
that
you
is
know.
true, yeah.
I mean,
So let's just take that off and.
well, I think. we
Combine
talked
it with
about
the-
Combine
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Make it research instead of.
okay.
What do we have for what have we been using stuff on what the demographic makeup of Franklin is?
Yeah, I just looked it up a couple days ago.
I mean, that's,
I think.
Does your staff use that?
The
for create-
demographic?
Yeah,
Some,
Yeah.
it's a little skewed because the
Yeah.
House of Corrections
right.
skews it a little bit.
Sure.
But
but there's always, then, for example, the seniors, there's some indication at least that might have difficulty, and that maybe because of, maybe they have difficulty getting around, some of them, and then they may have people, they may be people who got a lot of they have more books than average within their own home,
Can you work with
Yeah,
the
that's why
senior
the
travel
research piece is
program to get them to get the buses to the senior places, to get them to bus here? Pick them up and bring them here for a day, once a month.
I can just speak from my experience with my mom being at one of them. If there's staff who organize, the staff at the senior places are not buying into it, they're not gonna do it. No matter the activities person and the other staff members at the place, they would not get back to her, they would
Well,
not,
that's
so
why-
that's like outside of our control, so,
Well, I'm saying the senior travel program
oh, I see.
does that.
Yeah,
So all you have to do is say, hey, we wanna offer a senior day. All you have to do is say, hey, we wanna offer a senior day once a month. You set it up with the place and we'll offer the event. If you get it, we'll offer it. Because that's what they have right now, is like when they go to the Fireplace Theater, you know.
Right.
Right,
That's the program's already set up with Fireplace Theater. So
Right.
we're acting like, that's the program's already set up with Fireplace Theater. So
Right.
we're acting like that.
right,
And then they know the program is there, then they just pick them up and bring them.
oh, I see.
Well, again, that can be, you know,
Yeah, something
a
they can check
research
into.
thing, see
Yeah.
what type of traction that they'll get with that.
mhm,
I'd have to offer them some good,
They'll get with that.
mhm.
I'd have to offer them some good ones.
Right,
Yeah.
Usually it involves food. Whenever you-
exactly,
Got
coffee.
us here to eat a coffee.
Food,
All right, and then the last goal under, actually, there's one more on the next page, under Community Hub about the Create Space, continuing to encourage usage of that.
yeah, she got it up,
Yeah.
I mean, it like
Yeah.
over doubled, but again, we're comparing it with the year that was
Right,
not normal. So she wants to continue increasing the circulation in 2023.
yep. Create Space is gonna be super important, and I think she knows that, so.
Okay, moving right along,
Yep,
services and collections.
collections.
So Carrie wants to solicit Franklin businesses for funds to purchase the diverse materials. I don't know if 2,500 that might be a little bit in collection. You do have to have quite a bit of money, so,
Well, I don't know if I'd say so much Franklin businesses, as I would say each one of these, you know, diverse, like Muslims, or they have a community, some of them have businesses, but there's the Indian community, not necessarily, the Asian Indian, not
Right.
the American Indian. And then there's a Muslim community, and you're gonna have an opportunity with that, because the guy who's on the ballot from IC is,
Yeah.
Muslim,
yeah, I know,
so.
I would also, suggest, grant money is really difficult
very,
to get. So what if Carrie draws up a list of titles that she wants? What if Carrie draws up a list of titles that she wants and takes them and says, do you want to buy a book or a set of books for the Franklin Library? And get in-kind donations rather than grant money. I do know that there's a new director at the Ware Nature Center who's been hired to get money, basically. And so they have a super organized and very specific way they are going to be contacting all the businesses in the South Suburban Chamber of Commerce and in, Franklin Hills, Corners, Oak Creek for grant money also. And so unless we have, if that's gonna become her job to write grants, I think we really would like to carry publication in your language. Would you sponsor that? So instead of just grant money, I would say expand that to just
Should it be donation?
donation.
I mean, it's not a grant. A grant is when you write for it. I don't think that's what we're planning on
Right.
doing. We're planning on just reaching donations.
in money or donations.
So I would say-
And if it is grant, great, but if it's,
Raised at $25 in donations, and they say including in kind or something like that, so that it's clear that it's not just the money, but, you know, not just a check that counts, but if they get like somebody to say, you know, and I'm assuming we have, by the way, Jen, so, and I would highlight that, right, that somebody takes out this book, it's gonna see, you know, maybe we can identify books that relate to their business, I don't know.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But,
Maybe unlike the other one, but just make it a Q3 goal.
Okay.
Now, are we saying, we kind of understand, so Franklin Businesses by itself doesn't,
I added organizations. I mean, it could be business, it could be the Islamic Society of Milwaukee, you know. Brittany really wants to create a collection of sensory-based items.
That's doable for sure.
Yeah. Sarah wants to look into, CDs, yeah. Sarah wants to look into, our CDs aren't circulating that well anymore. You know, a lot of people buy cars without them. But there are these new collections, audio collections, where they have the book and it's spoken to them.
Right, nice.
So,
Like the books on tapes kind of thing? Is that
like
what
books
it
on
is?
tape, but, yeah, so.
Like the books on tapes kind of thing? Is that
Like
what it
books
is?
on tape, but, yeah.
But it's an actual physical thing that it's not like something you just listen to, it's something.
It's both,
It's
yeah,
both, okay.
and that's kind of important, like reading specialists usually
Yes,
encourage
yeah,
kids
that
who
they
have
can-
issues with
Mhm.
reading to take these things out.
Yeah,
Encourage kids
that
who
they
have
can-
issues with
Mhm.
reading to take these things out and listen and follow along.
I'd be
Um,
interested with that one, unfortunately, with the level of, and this is something that maybe we could ask her to do, the level of damage
I
and the
asked her about
replacement
that.
value, because that would be something
So-
if they're,
She knows the libraries
Easily
that
do-
already have them.
Yeah.
And she's gonna reach out to them, cause I did
Okay.
mention with like the
Yeah.
playaways, we had a number of them that just stopped working.
Don't you think that this is a good thing for seniors? I mean, a lot of seniors probably would like to be read to children. I mean, for me, I put on something at night
right,
to
right.
fall asleep, and I
Yeah.
like.
or
you know,
you're doing something else, you're folding laundry or whatever, you just got
Right.
that going on in the background,
Yeah.
right? So the same type of thing, it's just like,
Adult,
well,
yeah.
while you're doing something else, we're, yeah.
I think
That's a good
this is
suggestion.
specific
Yeah.
and being able to follow along
so like
and
you have a
hear
book
it.
and you're reading it and you're listening to it and you can try to figure out what the words are.
Yes,
I
for
think what you think are
kids.
more is like audible, and I
Yeah.
don't know,
Right.
like,
Right, and
can
I'm
you do
seeing
that?
kind of mix
Oh,
of-
okay,
Yeah,
so-
Hoopla,
got it.
Hoopla has
And
that.
Hoopla has that.
Yeah.
So there is a
Hoopla
way,
and Overdrive
it's
both have-
technology though for seniors, you know,
Right.
but
Which-
But maybe
still.
We do,
That's what I'm saying, is kind of combine them both with encouraging the seniors with
No,
with the,
no,
with
no,
the,
no, that's
no.
Gold Creek, no, let's keep it,
All right.
let's keep
I
it
mean,
focused. I mean, yeah, that might be a
But
good
I-
idea,
Judy
but
said
let's
do
not
it-
blur this.
Or Judy said do a class.
Yeah, but that's
For how
not
to-
part of this. I
No,
mean,
no. All
for
right.
that.
Yeah, now I wanna ask, when the budget was put together, I don't know how much these things cost, and you were talking about, yeah, the damage, it was like, okay, so do we have the money for this?
yeah, so the foundation gave us money for it, and then, but we also have to supplement it with, they have it in their budget.
So they're using their
We
children's
also do
material.
have of money in donation accounts
Mm-hmm.
that we barely even think about, let alone dip into. Let's go
Mm-hmm.
after that money for these types of things too. The money's there.
Well,
Let's
that's
just
a
go ahead
good,
and
that's a
spend
good
it.
point, because we're talking about soliciting Franklin businesses to purchase diverse materials. We have the donations.
the
We should
money.
be able to go and do that
Just go
without
buy
having
it.
to solicit. I mean, we think like, if we don't get $2,500 in grant money or
We
donations.
don't do this.
I don't think we should do it. Yeah, I think we should
We
still
should
do
use our
it. We have
donation
donations already,
accounts.
to your
Yeah.
point.
Right, I think, why wait? Why wait to solicit the money? We've already done that, you've already solicited money.
Mhm. And it should be doable.
Well,
then
we'll-
purchase diverse materials and
And you've
then,
already done it.
and then have your metric like you do with a lot of the things where a certain percent of the collection circulates.
so instead of soliciting, just have purchase.
And can't you just have the other one is increased donations? So purchase and then,
Visit businesses so that we're getting, input from those communities or those people as to what materials to buy? Or do you think Carrie and Laura have a good handle on what type of materials they're
I think
even-
they already
Okay.
have a good handle
All right.
on what they want to.
The action is, right?
Oh, I totally understand. No, that's not that's not exactly what I meant. But like, let's say you go to the,
Yeah.
Islamic Society and they are able to say, hey, there is this new author and
Right, or it's
we're
graphic
encouraging, something like that. I
Yeah.
guess that's what I was
Yeah, I'm
saying.
just
Just
thinking
for
we
a
already
No, I
have that,
copy
wasn't.
though.
circulation.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
thinking we already have that, which is something where people can identify books they would like to
I
have.
feel like that, even that though, would be dangerous, because who knows
Well, I
what
know.
it really says, if it's in Arabic, we don't know.
But if
know.
you go to
guess we
these
could research.
places to, I
What
know.
it really says, if it's in Arabic, we don't know.
But if you,
know.
you go
I
to
guess we
these
could research.
places to, I guess solicit, if you will, and then they know that you're gonna have what they might want and they may come here then. So it's
Right.
more of a public outreach or that,
Right.
I guess solicit, if you will, and then they know that you're gonna have what they might want and they may come here then. So it's
Right.
more of a public outreach or that
Right.
kind of
And
thing
that's-
too.
And your concern, I mean, that's true of anything foreign language that we would.
Right, no matter what
Right.
language it is.
So it's
Right.
more of a public outreach or that
Right.
kind of thing
And that's-
too.
And your concern, I mean, that's true of anything foreign language that we would.
Right, no matter what language it is.
Right.
Well, Carrie would do her
Yeah,
due
exactly.
diligence.
All right.
So what are we ending up with here?
Right, no matter what language it is.
Well, Carrie would do her
Yeah,
due
exactly.
diligence.
All right.
So what are we ending up with here before we move
I
on?
think we should not have as a goal, I think we should just have increase, like you said, the diverse materials in the collection. The soliciting of businesses, if you want to put that as like a marketing goal, money.
Yep.
And I
So,
guess I was jumping, like, because we're talking about the foreign language and, like, all of the different things, right? That's what the 2,500 was for?
yeah,
Yeah.
That should focus on the actual collection, that goal, and donations, we could do that.
so basically take that one out.
I just don't want to suggest that we're not spending any of our donation money on diverse materials unless we get more donation money, because we already have donation money.
Right.
This whole section about expanding the library's presence in the community is sort of geared toward, it's like, do we have to just target that? We should be just targeting the entire presence anyway. Do we have to target certain?
Well, I think for some of these things, it's like, do we see a gap that we have? Right, and if we already know that we're servicing the community at large with value to the community by having this stuff in the collection, okay, where, we have an individual at the school I'm at, or a number of individuals who are fluent in Spanish, because a lot of the people just speak Spanish at home, right? So you make sure you have that available, so if they station, you're not struggling with, they only, right?
And you may have to be more intentional about that
Yeah,
at this point.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe it's just
Versus-
the problem with how it's worded.
Okay.
Implement new foreign language adult fiction collection. That should be not just targeting, I think it's the part.
We saying Hindi, Arabic,
Right.
and
Because,
Spanish.
because those are
Those
our
are-
largest.
Well, and I
Popular
understand that, but if
population.
you had an opportunity to get a book you thought it would be helpful for another community, I'm assuming we would do it, and shouldn't that count towards our goal?
I think we need,
You could
we need
say-
to focus in on,
It has to go both ways, because what if I'm a white person and I wanna learn Spanish? And
we've got those already.
Right, but but the way it reads, it kind of reads like you're only going to do this new focusing toward them, not back toward the other way. It's like, we're just gonna do it that way, and we're not looking at, pulling it both ways. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but I don't think you can target those, but I don't think you need to name the targets.
So just implement a new foreign language adult fiction
in
collection
non-English languages,
in non,
Right,
in non-English languages.
in non.
right.
Until she writes that, and then in a couple months, you guys are all gonna go, this isn't detailed enough. I want specifics.
I think there's a difference between having a goal that's broader and then having the specific information about how we met that goal. I and then having the specific information about how we met that goal. I'm
Yeah, because
interested.
that could be how you met it, then when you get done, you can say, we had this many more books in these languages.
Right. But by the way we're reading it, we're sort of limiting ourselves to meeting the goal, because like I said, it could be a different language. It could be German, right? Based
Right.
on this goal, you wouldn't be German, right? Based
Right.
on this goal, you wouldn't include German in
Right.
the numbers. And then the other thing that I think we need to have in here is something a little bit more generic, which is identify areas where the library identifies a goal last year, providing tools to people to use, right? But that's something we ended up doing. And to, Kristen's goal, that's something that was sort of for the community, but it's not gonna be on here. And I just think that we might be limiting ourselves too much by not having like a broader goal of, identify if there's anything additional.
Oh, so like you're thinking, it's like if we were to say identify 2 areas,
Well, or is that something that should
two new
just-
services or collections.
Yes, right,
But-
right, more generic, I don't
But
know.
is that something that should just be put on, like, as something that's report, like places we exceeded our goals, like lists of other ways, and then you would put that in added collections or like other things, because then it is on the official paperwork that we, here were the goals that we met, and besides that, we also added these collections, and we added in this group, and this group.
I'm trying to be more intentional, right, which is that not
Right.
just during the year we think about doing it, but somebody's thinking, okay, you know what, I need to be thinking intentionally about, is there something we're not addressing, or that we're not providing as a service that would be useful, we're not addressing, or that we're not providing as a service that would be useful.
So you're always on the lookout.
Yeah.
So-
And it wouldn't be we have to actually do it, it's just like, evaluate and identify, are there additional, services that could, something like that, so that we can at least say, Sam did take a look, Sam looked at like the, parade space, and he was like, okay, is there a different program? Look, Sam looked at like the, parade space, and he was like, okay, is there a different program? Something like that, because
So
right
does-
now, the way this reads, to Kristen's presence, it says we'll increase the use of our services by expanding the library's presence in the community. The community is broader than these very specific goals.
Right, so this is the way I see it. We created a strategic plan. It was a 5-year plan, 4-year plan. Under services and collections is ensure the library's resources and collections meet the needs of the community through outreach, increase active card holders, increase connections. Those goals should always be in the front of everything we're doing, right? The action plan is specific for this year. So do we need to list these goals? Do we need to try to find things that maybe, do we need to say that every single year on the action plan? I think the action plan should be more specific to what are we gonna be intentional about in 2023, with this as always being the background to it. And to me, like, that is like part of their job. They should always be, whatever. We don't have to tell them it's a goal of yours to do that. So I think we have to create an action plan for this year to.
Achieve what's on the strategic plan.
Yeah, but
Right,
the problem
yeah.
is, the way we've developed these goals is we've asked them what they're gonna be doing as part of their job.
Right,
So that's the thing.
Yeah.
We've come up and we've said, okay, in order to meet the strategic plan, we want you to do this. Instead, Jennifer went and solicited from them, what are you doing as part of your job? And that's
and
not
I
the
guess that's
strategic
why,
plan.
and that's where
I give
Carrie
them the
said.
strategic plan,
Well, I
and I
understand
tell
that.
them
I understand
where,
that.
what you're doing next year needs to meet,
Right, I understand that,
So
but
it's-
now we've had very specific things.
needs to meet.
Right, I understand that,
So
but
it's-
now we've had very specific things, and if I was looking at this, I'm just gonna be frank, if I was looking at this and I was a male who was 50 years old, I would be like, what the heck is what are they doing for me in the community? Because there's nothing in here that suggests that we are thinking about that demographic. That we are thinking about that demographic.
Well, it just goes without saying.
Well, does it?
Well, how many, you can't just only look at the strategic plan or this and then expect that to list every single thing
Well,
your
that's what I'm
library is going to
saying.
offer.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
every single thing
Well,
that our
that's what I'm
library is going to
saying.
offer.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, though. Should we be more intentional to at least make it clear that we're not just doing these 6 things?
I think that if you think that this is going to list.
That's why I'm
library
not
is ever
saying,
going to
right,
school,
yeah.
Like, that's your own problem.
But then,
You know
I
what
don't
mean?
think that. I don't think it's gonna
Right.
list everything. The question is, do we need to have one more specific goal, which is that we need to be identifying more, or at least evaluating more? I don't
I
know.
don't think so. I think.
Like, is this even a
Because this is
public
just for
document,
20
or is
Yeah,
this
it is.
your-
It was
Yeah, I
attached to
put
the
it on
agenda.
Yeah, okay.
And I put it on the
You put
website.
it on the website. I
I
mean, we can
think-
all have our, I mean, if Carrie wants to focus on those 3 areas this year, maybe next year she's gonna focus on 3 other foreign languages to build up our collection. So, you know, I think the action plan for 2023 can be more specific, but I'm only one member of the board.
I'm gonna use a phrase that I use a lot that I think applies here. We have to be careful that the tail's not wagging the dog,
Yeah.
right? We don't build a strategic plan from the ground up. Right, this isn't, like, Carrie thought it would be a good idea to go ahead and, what does the library need in the way of services and collections? To my point earlier, where let's get down to like a really short number of things. To your point, Judy, make it broad enough that things can fit underneath it. Okay, what do we know? Okay, we know that we need to have diverse materials to meet the needs of the community.
Yeah, I think the
Right.
outcome is the Hindenburg Urban Standard. That's the
Yeah,
outcome,
yeah.
not the,
So
You can
that
target
can
it,
be
but-
like one goal. What it looks like
yeah.
is for
okay.
them to go ahead and develop.
Right.
So what was
Right.
that?
Broader, like,
Yeah.
you don't need to say create a new kit collection for sensory-based items. You could say create a new kit collection which meets the needs of the community, and then that could be what Brianni does to meet that goal.
Okay, I see what you're saying there.
Because
Yeah.
right now, this is really specific.
Okay, so I just need to go through and just make it more broad.
Right.
Broad and
No,
not
but-
measurable.
No, we won't. No, we won't. No, we won't,
Because the action will be there to tell us what they
Right.
did.
Yeah.
Right, so it'd be like expand children's audio collection, research and develop children's audio collection, and then that,
the stuff that get actually under the
Yeah,
covers.
I got it.
Right,
Right.
what shows up as part
Okay.
of the strategic plan is going to be, we're gonna do like these 3 things under services and collection. More diverse materials, better things
Okay.
for, helping kids with, reading, whatever they are, those 2 or 3. And then, whatever they are, those 2 or 3. And then what makes it happen is going to be, well, these are the things that actually achieve this strategic goal. Now, we might have that strategic goal again next year,
Right.
right? Because, oh, wow,
If
it's
it's
just
a
like
good-
there's more stuff that we can be doing, or we should be, oh, wow,
If
it's
it's a
just like
good-
there's more stuff that we can be doing, or we should be doing more.
Well, it should be the, I mean, if you're gonna go that broad, that should be the continuous goal every year, right? You should always be reevaluating.
Then how are we gonna put a
It's gotta be-
timeline on it?
Right.
Yeah, but I think what we're talking about right now is not that broad. I mean, like having something that says, yeah, but I think what we're talking about right now is not that broad. I mean, like having something that says expand children's audio collection, that is very specific. That's one of
Right.
the goals. We want to expand the audio collection this year
Yeah.
for the children's area.
with new formats.
But you don't need
or
to say
something.
box or wonder, maybe we go with something else, right? These are very specific.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's what Sarah thinks is gonna be the best way. Go with something else, right? These are very specific.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's what Sarah thinks is gonna be the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But, and that's what she can report back is how she did it. If I were them, I'm actually giving them a broader goal
Right.
to meet so that if something falls
Easier to
through,
meet.
I can still complete it.
Okay, so I'll just go through and I'll make everything, I'll go through the whole plan and I'll make, okay, so I'll just go through and I'll make everything, I'll go through the whole plan and I'll make things a little bit more broad.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah, and then.
remember when we had
Just
the
your-
No, wait a minute,
conversation?
I think let's talk about that. I don't know if we want, I think this section in particular,
Yeah.
we want to be broader. I don't know if we need to have the other ones broader, like evaluate the, and implement the use of room scheduling software. Because that's
Right.
the other one's broader, like evaluate the, and implement the use of room scheduling software, because that's a
Right.
specific goal.
Yeah.
But I think for this particular
Yeah, there
section,
just happen to be a lot of details.
yeah, this is a
Okay.
lot of detail. Okay, sorry. I
Okay,
didn't mean to cut you off.
I'll retool that for Monday.
Well, if this was a commercial organization, though, I wouldn't be, at least, no. I surmise organization, though, I wouldn't be, at least, no, I'm surmising that, something like, what's some, demographic groups that have become more significant recently, not necessarily within the previous year, and, you know, do we need to attention paid to that, because it would be easy for people, to be just unaware of, people who are speaking. One thing, you know, people are probably pretty aware that, well, yeah, there's a growing Spanish-speaking community here.
Well, then you better include Muslim, and then you better, I mean.
Well,
you-
okay,
you know, 'cause you're-
but you have to draw, you have to draw
Well,
lines. You can't
here's-
just say you can't, well, if you bring that, you're opening a can of worms.
No,
That's what-
what I'm saying, she can put the foreign language and adult fiction collection in with those, but just only pick out 3.
These are first being addressed. All right, so what tends to happen in a strategic plan is that you say, okay, we've got this area where we know we're not meeting the needs of this community, right? So now we're going to, part of it is establishing a process, right? So now we're going to, okay, like who's going to do it and how are we going to do it and those, then it becomes operational. Yeah, it may be going on and you're always going to be, as part of somebody's job, looking at, okay, do we have new gaps in our community since we haven't looked at it in 2 years? But that doesn't mean that it becomes the new strategic goal. It just means this is something that we haven't really focused on. We haven't focused on years.
And I tell you what, this is not my area of expertise, and I am trusting Jennifer and her staff to figure out what areas in our community don't have enough books in our collection and to get them for us. So,
I'll broaden these.
I don't think-
Can we move on to?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Sam is now,
Into marketing, okay.
oh yeah, sorry.
No problems.
Sam's now our Facebook person, so his goal, and this came out of our marketing meeting with Miclis, that they found that there's a lot of
Yeah.
engagement when you do like a library, but not specifically your library kind of posts.
Right, showcasing, you are just doing general
Yeah.
post about,
But you want to do them all the time. But
right.
his goal is to increase them by 1 to 3. 1 to 3 non-library
So
related,
this
non-news.
first thing about increased likes on our posts, I've heard that wows and actually get a higher profile.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to just say increase reactions because likes are,
Increase reaction. Yep, I can do that.
Some people are just like us,
yeah.
you know, and it might not have something that's meaningful.
but if you, yeah.
You know, and it might not have something that's meaningful.
But if they know that a wow or a, you know, a huggy thing
Right.
actually gives the post more boostability,
Yeah.
we wanna get beyond likes, you know, cause they're just.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
yeah.
all right.
And
Go
then
ahead.
increasing awareness of our video streaming services.
Yeah.
He did all the book lists. Now he'd like to target some video lists, so.
I think that's a great idea, because we just started using that, and it's,
So-
I think that's a great idea, because we just started using that, and it's amazing
Now,
what's on there.
The reason there's only 1 per quarter is because there is some change, so like, he could have to go and change if licensing,
Right,
if they don't have access
Pick
to a
up or
movie,
drop,
he's
yeah.
gonna have to,
Oh, and I think with the boost link though, that will help achieve those goals.
yeah. Now, Sarah and Brittany said this next goal is very dependent on whether they can get in person in the school.
what is
They-
SRP?
Summer reading program.
Thank you.
Sorry, I can,
Don't
No.
ever use those.
That's
Spell it out.
That's okay.
At least once.
Yes, I've heard it's
So-
very hard to get in person.
yeah,
For
but
a
we're,
lot.
we're
Yeah,
gonna work
we're gonna
very
work.
hard because we know that interaction, that
Yeah, for sure.
presence does drive summer reading signups, so. And then I will add,
Okay, wait.
This is a.
So if it's dependent on that, should the goal then just be to present, to do an in-person presentations, knowing that if that goal is not completed,
yeah,
because I think the participation is a totally separate goal. So I think the goal might just be get in person into the
Yeah.
schools.
Well, or maybe that shouldn't be the goal, because we could have a 0 on that and never be able to complete it. Should the goal be increase SRP participation, and then one way we think we're gonna do that is by being in person at the goal,
Yep,
at the
same
school.
thing we did up here.
Yeah, you see what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Okay,
Yeah, I
sorry
think
about
you-
that,
I think you take that one off, because we just were talking.
about that.
I think you take that one off, because we just were talking about, how big does the reach need to be to the Indian Community School, and now we're saying we need to be in there in person. I would
Right.
just take that goal off completely.
Unless you want the,
I think we just have a participation goal, which is increase SRP participation
No
by
matter who it
25.
is.
I think we just have a participation goal, which is increase SRP participation
No
by
matter who it is.
25%,
Program,
yeah,
and not to
yeah.
the Indian Community
yeah,
School.
and
And then
then,
however
they
they do
can-
it, they do
yeah,
it.
but the goal would be to get in, the
Yeah.
goal would be just
No.
increase participation. The means of doing it would be in person, would be great, but
Mm-hmm.
I just could envision, to Mike's point, we would have something saying, but I just could envision, to Mike's point, we would have something saying not completed because we didn't do in person.
Now, the good news is, because our Milkman game is May 21st.
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
we've got-
let's talk about the library presence at the Milkman's game. Once again, I think that's too specific. Because we are identifying 3 specific, aren't we better off saying increasing the library's presence at community events? And then the goal being at least 3 events? Do you know what I'm saying? Because that way, if we can't get in, I don't know, to the Milkman game, I know we will. Or if something happens in the summer concert series, we could try to identify another event to meet the
So
goal.
at least 3 events.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I can change that.
Which one is, oh,
It's highlighting the virtual oh,
yeah.
sorry, I'm gonna go back up to train staff. That we're switching over from, we wanna switch over to Patron Point from what we've been doing. It'll save us money, it'll be easier, we'll be able to do more targeted.
What is Patron Point?
It's a library marketing,
Specific for a
Online.
library?
How much does Patron Point cost?
it won't cost us anything, because
Okay.
McFlist provides it for us, which is why we wanna switch over.
Okay, I was just trying to,
Yeah.
look, and maybe we could talk about this,
Yep.
I'll talk about this later with you.
Explain to me who we're targeting and what we're gonna target them with.
This is what they send their newsletter out with.
We're using Patron Point, we're retargeting people whose library cards have expired. We can go after people who haven't used the library in a while, the
So my
cards have
husband
expired.
last week came and discovered he didn't have a valid library card. And now he gets all these fun little valid library card. And now he gets all these fun little things saying, hey, I can check stuff out. I mean, he's a guy. Hey, I can do this, I can do that. And I'm assuming that's coming.
This far, be careful
Right.
what you say.
Then I'm
My
assuming
arm can
that's
reach
coming.
this far, be careful
Right.
what you say.
Right, so, I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's coming from that, or that's a marketing email and that's the type of thing that,
Yeah.
And then as you check out books, they'll target or go
Exactly,
to
yeah.
programs, yeah,
Create a series of videos.
go to
Yeah.
programs, yeah.
Create a series of videos. You can start putting your chairs around. We have a yoga coming up at 10:30.
Oh,
So I wanna hurry up.
Okay, stay much longer, we're gonna make you do yoga.
okay,
That'd probably be good for us, we have a lot of food in our stomach, I don't know. That'd be good for us, we have a lot of food in our stomach, I don't know. We might-
Donuts and
Um,
yoga.
So I don't know, you're still okay with the creating a series of videos highlighting the virtual reality center, photo scanner, and VHS transfer station?
highlighting some of the, technology available,
Such as,
Yeah,
yeah,
so,
because maybe eventually Carrie could do one on the cricket
yep.
and
like
say, ooh,
Yeah.
you can come and
Okay,
do-
so I'll change that one.
Okay.
Okay, before we move off of this, we haven't done anything in marketing campaigns to new residents.
That was the one that,
Yeah, but did that carry over to, oh, well, you have the process with Glenn to get those new,
yeah, but, I can have Laura, I can come up with another goal.
would it be different from that?
It would be continuing, but it also would be working maybe with, realtors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'll come up with, under organizational health,
top again, well-developed and executed plans, grounds, and finances. I'm not talking about staffing, I'm not talking about finances at all here, much of it, we're talking about budget, and we're not talking about buildings and grounds at all. So there isn't anything in here on a goal for next year that's gonna talk about what are we gonna do. The tree. You know, it's like, so are there things that, is there something that we can have that has to do with the facility that can be a goal for 2023?
Well, I think the workroom refresh, I mean, that's facility. I think
Yeah.
the tree, maybe 29 strategic plans.
I mean, the tree, we're not gonna be able
Security.
to.
We had this big laundry list that Buildings and Grounds put together of stuff
Right.
that was gonna be going on, and there's nothing here that touches any of that.
I agree. I mean, when I looked at this, I
The
thought, wow,
capital
this is just
plan?
stuff we should be doing. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure how, complete the library security project, and that's Q4. What are we completing first in Q4 that relates to security for the library?
I mean, I'm gonna get a whole security system in here, even if potentially the library has to go on their own to do it.
Okay, because this makes it sound like we know there's a security issue right now, and we're completing it, and we're first completing it by Q4.
Well, gen
It is true.
funds,
I
Yeah.
know, but
So
complete
have you
makes it seem
checked
like we need to
into that?
reword it. so
that was
it's
something
not-
that I made a motion on when Mark Roberta was here to take the money we didn't dump into City Hall to improve our security all over, and
Yeah,
he's
nothing's
been gone
been,
for a couple of years.
nothing's been done. I
I
don't, it,
know. This is like, you know, there, and it carried over again. If you look at the council packet for those.
And I
carryovers,
carried
it's like
ours over,
$2
too.
million some dollars in carryover.
yeah.
Okay,
So my point
okay,
is,
but-
I don't want it to suggest that we know there's a security issue,
Oh, I see.
and that we're first gonna be addressing it in Q4.
Oh, in.
Because
Oh.
that's,
No, I
it says,
think
when,
those are like
we have something in here, which is, I don't know, but when I read this, I'm like, oh my god, we got a security issue, and we're pursuing it in Q4.
So to their point, it's just like, okay, evaluate,
But this is on the agenda for Monday, right?
Yeah. But I mean, that's the way this action plan is set up,
Yes.
like a completion
I
date.
know,
So
but
she's not gonna,
we can't have it suggesting that we have a security issue, because if somebody gets hurt,
well,
Let's
to Kristen's point, there is information that wasn't available that will help us understand that we can move faster
right.
on this.
Well,
So we should
Well,
have
we know there's money.
this.
well,
So we should
Well, we
have,
know there's money there.
I know there's money there, it's just they're not, I
They
mean,
won't, they're not just
It's
gonna
not
give
going
it to us.
It's not, we need to just do it on our own. And, there were things that we didn't talk about on Monday, the lead to this, so I don't want to.
well, then Q1 or Q2 needs to,
The lead to this, so I don't want to.
well, then Q1 or Q2 needs to be a plan
Yeah.
and timeline for
There you
improving
go.
library security. And then that's completed by Q2, so maybe Q1 is, you kind of come up with where all
Get
the
bit.
completed by Q2, so maybe Q1 is, you kind of come up with where all
Get
the different
bids
stuff
or
is that
have-
that there are a
somebody
security
come
issue,
in.
and Q2 is when you actually come up with the plan for how you're gonna make it happen.
yeah, I just don't wanna have a suggestion on here, somebody gets injured, and they're like, you guys knew that there was
yeah.
a security issue, and you weren't addressing it
Well,
in
let's
Q4.
see.
The last item on there, that's, so we can take that off.
the begin process, okay.
Yeah, I can take that off. I think we need to do something
don't take
stronger
it off yet.
around, it's not just the budget process, right? If we're talking about finances, it's like, we need to have a process, so maybe the finance committee for, let's say, a 3-year plan for financing, the library, and that's gonna include, growth each year.
I think the finance issue and staffing and building are all joined
Well, I can,
somehow together.
yeah, and I can, Doris and I might be able to speak a little bit to this, but it was a goal on, that came out of Jennifer's evaluation process for this, the second one under organizational health, presented to the board ahead of when the city starts their timeline. And she was trying
Okay,
to
so that's
incorporate
her
this
goal, that's her
into,
goal, that's not a the
Well-
strategic thing is that we constantly go year after year after year, saying, oh, the city won't give us the money, as opposed to 3 years, and what are the dollars gonna be to meet the needs, and then we're gonna go to the city and saying, these are the budget items. So we need to identify over the next 3 years, from a staffing and buildings and grounds standpoint and budget standpoint, what's it gonna look like? Right, so maybe the personnel committee meets and talks, and so by the end of Q2, we have a plan that incorporates those three big nuts on how we move forward.
Something like, if we had whatever the recommended totals are for staff and it's a lower number, but
I'm
the
gonna move my
median,
stuff in back here.
the median, for a community our size for staff and budget is this. And then, you know, we have
Yeah,
that,
would-
we put that in the council too,
That
besides
exactly
that,
would be
yeah.
one thing.
Okay.
Right.
So I need to redo this whole section.
And if you
For
don't have
Monday
it,
night.
if you don't have it done by Monday night,
I'll have it done by
That's
Monday
okay.
night.
As long as
Might be
fast as we
working
can.
on it tomorrow, but I'll have
you
it done
don't
by
have
Monday.
to, yeah.
Yeah.
It is,
10:30.
we're, 10:30?
We're finishing up a meeting.
Yeah.
It is,
10:30.
we're, 10:30?
We're finishing up a meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you could just give us a minute so we can get this stuff all put together.
Oh, we didn't even, oh, yeah, I guess, go ahead.
What?
I think Judy, is there, go ahead.
What?
I think Judy, is there any other pressing things? Judy made a motion to adjourn.
I did, I guess I did. I
Yes.
was like, are we adjourning? What are we doing here?
Mike seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All